Hi, this is Jennifer Marusak, Vice President of Governmental Affairs for the Louisiana State Medical Society. Today we are extremely fortunate to have with us Speaker of the House, Chuck Kleckley from Lake Charles. The Speaker has been a great friend of medicine. He has been a wonderful supporter of the State Medical Society. And Mr. Speaker, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Of course, the budget is always an issue. Well, it seems to be always an issue lately anyway. A lot of our members accept Medicaid patients. They are very willing to provide services to the Medicaid patients. They want to increase the access to care and improve their quality of life. But with the budget being so tight, cuts to the Medicaid rates are always a concern. Can you tell me what kind of direction it looks like the budget's going to head this year?
Well, first of all, Jennifer, thank you for this opportunity to come and speak before your organization today. It's certainly an honor, and thank you for what you do, and you represent your group very, very well. This is a long session this year. This is a 90-day session. We went in on March the 10th, and we'll adjourn on June the 2nd. Unlike the federal government, when we adjourn on June the 2nd, we have to have a balanced budget, and it's according to our Constitution. But the House Appropriations Committee started here in the appropriations bill, or the executive budget on the first day of session, or actually the second day of session. So over the last month, they have come through the bill. They have gone through different agencies. They have talked to different agencies. Many agencies have proposed or come before the Appropriations Committee and presented their budget. There's been a lot of questions. There's been a lot of concerns. There is with our budget every year. Our budget has been a challenge since 2008, when the recession really hit here in Louisiana. We're very aware. Legislators are very aware of the cuts that have been to the Medicaid providers here in the state of Louisiana. Chairman Fannin and I have met several times about the budget, the shape of the budget, and we're very conscientious that there's no more margin to cut the Medicaid providers. We understand that you have to buy milk and you have to buy gas, and that price is not going down. So we're doing everything we can to maintain that level. We would love to be able to increase that, and we're very optimistic about the future of Louisiana, about the revenues that are coming into the state of Louisiana. We think there's a tremendous upside. Just in southwest Louisiana alone, where I'm from in Lake Charles, there's $65 billion of economic development expansion. 30,000 temporary workers will come into our part of the state over the next 5 to 7 years. It's projected over the next 10 years there will be 10,000 permanent jobs. So with those kind of numbers, we're very optimistic the revenues will start trickling up. It'll be slow. It won't be any big growth like we saw after Hurricanes Rita and Katrina and Gustav Knight, but it will be a slow trickle up. And so that's why we're optimistic. But today, for this year, our budget numbers are very tight, although we're a little bit more optimistic than we have been in the past. It's just going to take time to get where we need to be.
One of the most contentious issues that faces our members are scope of practice issues. And by that we mean other providers that try to expand their scope of practice into what we consider the practice of medicine. Last year, we had the optometrist attempting to do surgery that really raised the ire of a lot of our members. And I think that was one of the most ugliest battles that I've ever seen in my 15 years working here at the legislature. And it's back again. So can you talk to us a little bit about the mood of your members and where you think that legislation might be heading this year?
Well, you're right. It is very, very contentious. And typically, in the past, I served with the House Insurance Chairman for 4 years. If I had a contentious issue, there were two options. Either let's get both sides at the table, outside the committee room, and let's work through it. That's option one. Option two is let's do a study resolution. Let's look at it during the interim. Let's try to find out what's the best solution for both sides. Because the last thing that anybody wants to happen is to come into a 90-day session and take an issue that is that important, is that critical to both sides, and make a decision by legislators. I think it's better if both parties sit down at the table, try to resolve their differences, try to resolve the issues, and then let's work through it in that manner. If that can't happen, and then we can do it. But for the long haul, for the long term, I think it's better if both sides come to an agreement on something. And you're right, there are always contentious issues. But my past history as chairman of the insurance committee is let's get both sides at the table, let's work through it, and let's see if we can do that. So that's what I'm hoping. I know there's some discussions going on right now about trying to work through some issues, and so we're hoping that that is what takes place. Or me as House Speaker takes place.
Another issue that you, especially as the former chairman of the House Insurance Committee, faced back then and still faces now as Speaker of the House is balance billing. It's often called balance billing, but in actuality, it's the appropriate reimbursement to a physician or any other provider for their services. I think there are 3 or 4 bills out there this year dealing with balance billing, and it just seems to be an issue that will not go away. Can you tell us your thoughts about that issue?
Well, and balance billing is it's a very difficult issue, it's a very complicated issue, and it's not an issue that can easily be resolved. I don't know what the solution to balance billing is, and I certainly understand both sides. I've had people back in Lake Charles that call me and tell me that they're in network with a certain provider, and that they're getting balance billed, and they don't understand why they're getting balance billed. It's very, very hard to explain that to a constituent, but at the same time, you have to understand where the doctors are, where the physicians are, and their reasoning. So there's a lot of moving parts to balance billing, and I'm sure it will continue to come back. I don't know if the issue can ever be resolved. Several years ago, Chairman Aber, who was chairman of the Senate Insurance Committee, and I put together a study group, as I said before, and we thought bringing more transparency to the issue, making the patients more aware of what was happening would help. And that may have helped a little bit, but it's still there. And that's going to be a battle that I'm not sure what the solution is. We've looked at other states. I've served on some national committees looking at balance billing, and it's an issue not only here in Louisiana, it's an issue throughout the country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for your time. I know you have a very hectic day ahead of you, as you always do when your colleagues are in town. And we at the LSMS thank you not only for your time this morning, but also for your leadership. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our members?
Well, and I'd like to thank them for everything that they do here in the state of Louisiana. And believe me, I have many friends back in Southwest Louisiana, has throughout the state that are friends, that are doctors, and we understand what they do. We understand that they give back to the community and how they give back to the community. We understand that their rates have been cut. And we understand what they're going through and some of the tough times that we've all gone through. But we get that. And believe me, we want to make sure that they are sustainable into the future. And we're working to help solve that problem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank y'all.